This NHL season has been absolutely wild, and because of that, we have seen some pretty major surprises already. So today, I want to go through the teams that have surprised me the most so far this season early on to see which of those teams could translate that into a playoff berth. So make sure you guys watch till the end as we go through all these teams to see if they're real or fake towards the future, and hit that subscribe button if you're new for more hockey content just like this all throughout the year. Now, last week I made a poll for the channel members really similar to this topic, with the poll saying which NHL team surprises and makes the playoffs. The options given were the Utah Mammoth, the Detroit Red Wings, the Anaheim Ducks, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. And as you guys can see, Utah got 50% of the vote, a lot of supporters their way. But you also had Anaheim at 33%, Columbus at 17%, and unfortunately nobody voting for the Detroit Red Wings. But this week's member poll is an absolute doozy, with the Calder Trophy being the main topic, deciding who will win it in 2026. As of right now, I think the frontrunners are Ivan Demidov, Z Buum, Matthew Schaefer, and Alexander Nikishin. So make your votes heard, and we'll see who ends up winning by the end. This is going to be a heated one, I can already tell. But if you guys want to become a big part of the member polls, have your voice be heard, and also get exclusive videos every single week, you can become a channel member here on the channel. Just hit the join button by the subscribe button, or hit the link in the description down below. And just for a couple bucks a month, you can help support the channel as well as be a part of all these extra perks. But okay, enough of that. Let's get into the teams that have surprised me the most, and teams that I just want to talk about with their success early on. Now, let's first start out today by talking about the Anaheim Ducks, and they're only 3 games in, so we can take it with a bit of grain of salt, also considering the fact that the only teams they faced have been Seattle, Pittsburgh, and San Jose, so not the strongest crop in the world. But still, I think the biggest thing for me is that they're just fun to watch again. One of my biggest issues with Anaheim is that they had so many really fun pieces, but coaches like Greg Cronin, who just wanted to play the gritty, oh, we gotta muck it up every single shift, when that wasn't really the identity they were building before. Now, though, you can start to see where that identity is starting to come from, and they're actually having the players now to execute on that. Plus, I think they're just having a ton of more fun, and players like Leo Carlsson, Chris Kreider especially, have been magnificent. Let's talk about that Ducks scoring, because it is fascinating across the board. Of course, you got Chris Kreider and Leo Carlsson leading with 5 points each, but Chris Kreider with 4 goals, 3 of them as well coming on the power play. He is just absolutely feasting on that man advantage, and it's great to see Chris Kreider back in that type of role and succeeding in that role, considering how weird it was last year for New York. It just didn't really seem like the fit was there anymore. But in Anaheim, they were the league's worst power play by far last year. They needed somebody that could just tip in goals with how many great playmakers they have, and it's working out beautifully. We'll have to wait and see, of course, how much that ends up lasting, but if Anaheim were to get a 30-35 goal season out of Chris Kreider, that would be so important for their power play. It already has been, but it just feels like there's so much more energy around this Anaheim Ducks team than they've really had over the last few years. And of course, the jury's still out whether they'll actually make the playoffs or not, but I'm just happy that I'm having fun watching Ducks hockey, man, because it's been a while since I could say that. I also want to give a shout out to a couple of the other younger guys too. Beckett Seneca with 4 points in 3 games already. He's somebody that I wasn't really expecting to do much in the NHL this season, considering I thought his preseason was kind of so-so, especially in the defensive department, but I think he's looked as responsible as he has ever looked, really. And you saw late in that game versus Pittsburgh, he was playing with the empty net situation out there. He was trusted by Joel Quenneville to play pretty important minutes, and for somebody, of course, that young, that's pretty impressive. And of course, let's not even talk about the offensive level so far, where he's gotten 2 goals, 4 points so far. Obviously, a couple of those points have been not the greatest things in the world, but I think you can see the flash, you can see the skill, you can see what he's capable of already, and I'm really excited that he's already translating now in the NHL level, hasn't needed to take any more OHL time or AHL time or anything. He looks pretty great already, and hopefully he'll end up sticking through the rest of the season. And then, of course, you got Cutter Gauthier, 3 goals, 3 points in 3 games. This is what I want to see out of him. He had some decent goal scoring numbers last year, but not what I thought he was truly capable of. Now we are starting to see that goal scoring really get utilized, and yeah, it's pretty good. The best part, too, for Anaheim is that they're 2-1-0. They look so interesting and so exciting, and the goaltending hasn't really shown up yet. You have Dostal playing 2 games, Mrazek with 1, and then Dostal has an 893 save percentage, Mrazek with a 739 save percentage. So once, especially Dostal ends up rebounding a bit, I think that'll be even more interesting for Anaheim going forward, and hopefully will propel them at least a bit further. And just that whole home opener, the great giveaways they were doing with the masks, too, and also the Ducks selling out the most seats that they've sold out since 2013. 13, and the vibes are good right now in Orange County, and I really hope that that continues, because I would love to be wrong and have the Ducks make the playoffs. I think I have them just outside of things, fighting for a spot, being competitive, but not making it. But if the Ducks are able to inject some new blood into that Pacific Division, I would be all here for it. Another team that has surprised so far has been the Boston Bruins, starting with a 3-1-0 record. Another team that it is early for, obviously, but Boston's really shown this competitive fire that they absolutely did not have last season. And this is what I kind of saw out of them. I still don't think the Bruins are a playoff team necessarily, but they're going to keep these games close. They're going to keep these games competitive, especially because I thought Jeremy Swayman would have a rebound season. That's what we're seeing so far. He's been excellent, has kept them in these games, and I think the Bruins are a pretty great spoiler here. I think I had them in the mid-80s range when it came to the points department, and I had a lot of people saying that Boston was going to be last in the Atlantic, and I just don't quite see that. I mean, especially now with Buffalo being, well, Buffalo. The biggest thing for this Bruins team is that they're scoring by committee. Last year, you had Pastrnak almost 50 points above second in team scoring. This year, though, Pastrnak is tied with Pavel Zacha for 5 points in 4 games. And still, 5 points is pretty good, but I think Pastrnak is capable of even more than that, considering how good he is, how elite he can be. But you also got Elias Lindholm with a point-per-game streak so far. Geeky's still doing well. Casey Middlestat with a couple of goals. And even players like Jordan Harris with 2 points in 2 games. Not too shabby there. We'll have to, of course, see if that ends up tapering out, but I think so far for the Bruins, it's been just really competitive hockey. It's been the fight and the swagger that you wanted to see out of them last year that just never really came to pass. But nothing really matters for the Bruins if Jeremy Swayman isn't at that level to backstop them, and I will say, through 2 games, I think he's back. On to the next team that has heavily proved me wrong so far in the Seattle Kraken. Now, 3 games in, but they're 2-0-1, and kind of like Boston, has done just a great job of keeping these games competitive, close, no matter what. In terms of the scoring, it isn't overly impressive or anything, but everybody's kind of just chipped in a good way, and the depth feels like it's back to that type of 2023 level that we saw out of Seattle. But Jared McCann's had 3 goals, 4 points in 3 games. Vince Dunn's look great. Matty Beniers, a point per game, which I would pray to the heavens that ends up sticking. Please, dear God. And of course, you have Joey Decord, who's played all 3 games, has a .918 save percentage, has looked absolutely fantastic yet again this year. And Seattle seems to have a pretty good recipe going here. I'd love to be wrong for Seattle because I love the fans there, and I think they deserve a kind of more interesting team, but they've been a lot more fun to watch this year. I will give them credit for that, and that's kind of what I wanted to see most out of them. They were just very dull last year to me, but this year at least seems to be a lot different, which thank goodness for that. Now let's move on to the last surprisingly good team I want to talk about here today, because I have a couple of surprisingly bad teams I'll mention later. But let's talk about the Nashville Predators, a team that kind of like the Boston Bruins, like the Seattle Kraken, had kept a lot of these games close and much more competitive than they were last year. I will say though, in terms of the projection, in terms of how much these teams stick, I have less inspiration about Nashville, mostly because at the end of the day, I think most of this is because of UC Saros. If this was the foretold UC Saros bounce back season, I will be here no matter what, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, he's been one of my favorite goalies for a long time now. He's somebody that I was just very disappointed in having another so-so year last year. I would say below average, absolutely for his standards, with an .896 save percentage. But this year, you can see, so far through 3, he has a .947, especially in that game versus Ottawa. My God, he was just, it was absolute robbery, basically every other shift from him. And that type of magic, that type of incredible style and flash is what I wanted to see back from him, but it's now working again, which is humongous for the Preds. And as of right now, he's 5th among all goaltenders in goals saved above expected. He's been at the league elites, and I think that's great to see out of him because the talent's always been there. We know what he's capable of. It just hasn't been consistent over the last couple of seasons. But again, for Nashville to be competitive, for them to be in that race, Saros needed to rebound. He needed to be the goaltender he can be, and so far he has. I don't know how much the offense is going to stick considering they're like 24th in terms of expected goals for and haven't been overly impressive in terms of the offensive generation. But at the end of the day, if UC Stars can continue to steal games, that's really all that they need right now. But for a little bonus, let's go on to a couple teams that I think have been surprisingly bad to start out this season. And I will say, I didn't have a ton of super high hopes for the New York Islanders, but even I didn't think they would be not just 0-3-0, but as bad as they have been. Now, you're not going to see Buffalo in this segment because I already thought they were going to be a bad team last in the Atlantic Division. So them being bad and last in the Atlantic Division wasn't a surprise. But the Islanders being at this level is actually a bit of a shocker. For one, even though I think there's been some good performances here, here and there. I think Heineman has looked okay. Pajot has had some good moments. Shabanov has looked really fun. The rest of the group, I mean, especially on defense, has been horrid, really, besides Matthew Schaefer and what he's been doing. He's listed on the third pair, but he's not getting played third pair minutes. He's playing 26 minutes a night now, has been leading the Islanders, and the craziest part is, I can't even say that they're wrong for that. He has been magical for that defense, and even though I still think a bit of him looks really good because of just how bad this Islanders defense has looked around him, at the same time, he's been their best defenseman, so you might as well write him out. It's kind of embarrassing that Schaefer coming in as a newly 18-year-old is skating circles around every single defenseman here, but that's just kind of the reality of the talent difference here, especially after they traded Noah Dobson. But yeah, really, besides Schaefer and Shabanov looking pretty decent, I would say, that's pretty much it in terms of the success stories so far for the Islanders. And one of the biggest things that I thought we would see out of this Islanders team was a bit of a rebound in terms of Ilya Sorokin's play, going from a good goaltender to back to one of the elite ones this year, and wow, that's not happening. And I will give you the fact here that, yeah, Matthew Schaefer and maybe Scott Mayfield sometimes. Besides that, the Islanders defense isn't giving Sorokin any favors here at all. But I think Sorokin needs to lead this team. He needs to end up carrying them like UC Saros is doing right now in Nashville. And that's just not been the case so far. Through 3 games, he has a 4.18 goals against average, an .854 save percentage. And sure, again, I think the defense is part of that, but a lot of it is Sorokin just simply not playing well. I don't think he's been the absolute worst goaltender in the league so far. In terms of goal save above expected, he's 30 among 50 qualifying goalies, but even then, he needed to be at a level that's actually a franchise level for this Islanders team to be a competitive team, to even have much of that spirit going for them, and that just hasn't been able to come to pass so far. And I mean, my goodness, with the way the Islanders are playing, Gavin McKenna isn't out of the cards right now. Another team that has been surprisingly bad and could be a sleeper in the Gavin McKenna race is the Calgary Flames. Now, in terms of the roster, I will sit here every day and say that it shouldn't be that much of a surprise, but I still thought Dustin Wolff would, save them a few times throughout the course of the season. They get around 80 points, 85 points or so, still be somewhat competitive, but they just don't look like that this year at all. And heavens bless Dustin Wolff for trying to carry this team as long as he has, but there's only so much he can do. But this is sad to me because I don't even think Wolff has been all that great this season, but he's played every single game and just hasn't gotten the opportunity to have much success. I mean, at 3.77 goals against average and .873 save percentage among goalies that have played at least a game this season, Wolff is 53rd out of 57 in goals saved above expected, which is a far cry from where he was last year among the top 10. I swear to God, though, Calgary, if you run Dustin Wolff into the ground and ruin our future gold medal winning American goaltender, I will have some problems with you. I'm sure that statement won't make anybody mad. Definitely not. But those are my thoughts on some of the teams that surprised me for the better and surprised me for the worse so far. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and comment down below which teams have surprised you the most for better or for worse. And a big shout out, of course, to all the channel members here. Their names will be up here on the screen. Again, if you want to be a part of the exclusive member polls, the exclusive videos every single week, just put out a video about Matthew Schaefer a couple days back. You can hit the join button to become a channel member for just a couple bucks a month, and you get all of those perks. But if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and the notification bell if you guys enjoyed. Comment down below your thoughts, of course, and share it with all the hockey fans you guys know online. And if you want to watch some more videos, you can click on this card as well for some more ranking content right in one playlist. I will see you, though, in the next one. Have a fantastic hockey day, and goodbye.